Hello and welcome. I hope everyone is having a great day. I'll give you a few seconds to hop on here and say hello. Definitely hello, comment, and share. If you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay, so I know you're watching. And comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from. I'm always curious to see where everyone is from. So definitely do that. Another thing, if you have not yet subscribed on YouTube for A Note for God, definitely do that, because the great thing about that is that the videos are already up there. 17 different stories, interviews with amazing ladies. So definitely subscribe to A Note for God on YouTube as soon as this one is actually broadcasting live, you guys. So if you want to do that, if you also want to go to YouTube and see it on your TV, it's totally good, because we are broadcasting. Okay, thank you. You know, when you got kids, you know. So we're broadcasting on Facebook, Periscope, and on YouTube. So I love that. And I also, like I said, I love that it's on YouTube, because you can always go back and listen to the other interviews. So definitely, if you resonate with any of the ladies that come on here, I would definitely connect with them, because it's just that extra step. Like, hey, I really resonated with your story. I like that you said this. Or if you know somebody who's going through something that one of these ladies said, definitely share the YouTube link and say, hey, just take a listen and see what you think. Or I know you're going through something similar. See what this person, or how this person got help or over with this. All right, so definitely subscribe. It's 30 Women, 30 Stories, day 18. If you're ready to share your story, definitely message me or comment below. DM me and say, hey, I want to share my story, because I'm still looking for some people to share their stories. We're going to go up until September 30th, which is next Wednesday. So definitely, if you're ready to share, let me know. Again, if you're on here, say hello, how are you? And I'm going to bring my guest, which is Kendra. Let me bring her on here. Hey, Kendra, how are you?
Very good. Very excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited to that. First of all, that you said okay and join. I know that takes a lot of courage, because a lot of women, we're kind of shy, or we really don't want to say our story. Or if you've seen some of the live, some women for the first time have shared their testimony live. So that can be, very nervous, very wrecking, like, who's going to listen? So definitely thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to share your testimony. So we'll just get right to it. Your background of how you were raised. We'll go from there. And then definitely what events, you don't have to share all of them, but some major events that led you really to surrender and give your life to Christ. And then we'll go from there.
Awesome. I have notes here because I share parts of my story often, but I don't often share the whole thing, especially the details. So
Yeah.
I'm a small town South Georgia mom of 3 plus 2 bonus babes. I work at home as a detox counselor. I homeschool the 3 youngest, and I'm married to my soulmate. Super, just blessed, absolutely blessed, 100%. And I'm also an advocate for medical freedom, so that's super important to me as well. I grew up in church. I grew up in the Bible Belt, so you know how that is. First, my grandma took me to church, and then my mom started going to church as well. We all went together. And I was about 10 years old when I was baptized in the church. So I definitely had that foundation, and I knew right from wrong, and I had my convictions. But as I got older, especially in my teenage and young adult life, I turned to the world because of my insecurities, really, because I just felt like I wanted to fit in. I was insecure as a child. I was very uncertain of myself, and I just, I think a lot of people do. I just turned to the world and tried to fit in the best way I could, the best way I knew how.
Yeah.
Um, obviously that wasn't working for me. By the time I was in my early 20s, I was drinking, smoking, partying, experimenting with drugs, bad relationships, friendships, you name it. I mean, it was pretty much anything that I thought I could get away with, I would try it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I was a very good person, even not just a sinner, but some people can be like a low key sinner, but like, no, I was I was wild. I was out there. I was, everything you could do. And I thought that I was living that free life, just freedom. And after getting out of a really long and really bad 5.5 year relationship, especially being in a town that was not familiar to me, I really took advantage of that freedom. And I knew in my heart it was wrong because, like I said, I had that foundation, but I was in denial, I think. Yeah, trying to catch up with where I am.
Oh, no worries. But I think I like what you said, that most of us try to fit in somewhere. And we do certain things, right? So it's just not one, it wasn't just you. I think all of us, period, we try to fit in and we try to fit into the world, and that doesn't always work.
Right. And especially now in today's time in this new age teaching of, follow your heart and do what you want, do what you feel, and the love and the freedom movement that we see now, I think is super dangerous because it's
Mhm.
know deep down in your heart right from wrong.
Right.
And I was just ignoring that. I really was. And it's amazing that I made it out of that, honestly, the way I was living my life. But in Savannah, which is where I was living, I had never had a problem getting a job or, finding my means. I was on my own at the time. But in 1 week, I lost 3 jobs
Oh, wow.
that I had, and I got a job and lost it in a week. And it was just like I knew. I lost that last job and I was just in tears. I didn't understand why. I mean, it was things beyond my control, even though I wasn't living a great life at the time.
Right.
Just beyond my control, these things that happened. So I ended up on the free bus because I had no money at the time. Um, I had no one to call. So I had to walk like half a mile just to get to the free bus, which I don't know if you live in a bus system town, but there's the buses you pay $1.50 for, and then there's one that does this huge route that's like the free bus. So I was on the free bus crying my eyes out, and I just knew what I had to do. So I called home and my sister picked up the phone and I told her what was going on, and I was like, I need to come home. I just need to come home. And I just knew the whole time I lived in Savannah, I've always been super independent. And I said, I will live under a bridge in a cardboard box before I move back to my hometown. But in just that fast, and I think God knew what it was going to take for me to get there. So, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I moved back home. My parents were there 2 days later to pick me up, put all the pieces back together like parents do. They were amazing in that way. And I moved back home, and it was 2 to 4 weeks later, I found out that I was expecting.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So coming out of that party lifestyle, coming out of that craziness, and back to a place where honestly I hadn't fixed anything inside myself. I had just changed locations.
Mm-hmm.
A safer place for me. I was still the same inside though. And I knew that I had always been super pro-life, but I knew that I was at the lowest point in my life at this time. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was going to get emotional talking about this, so if I cry,
no worries.
But I knew inside myself, it wasn't anything conscious. It was just something that appeared in my mind, mm-hmm. that I had a choice to make. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a choice that I ever thought I'd find myself in that position to even make. I was scared and alone, and I thought that my life was over. Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't been in that place already, I would have never considered any choice I wouldn't have considered it a choice, you know.
Right.
Being in that place, I was like, well, you know, basically I knew that I was doing bad, but like, okay, well, this is it. Like, I'm definitely going to hell now.
Right. Right.
I mean, really. So I asked a friend to drive me to a clinic,
Mhm.
and I was just, I mean, I can't even explain the feelings inside myself at that time. Thank God for the amazing angels on earth at crisis pregnancy centers. That's where I ended up at, not a clinic, thank God.
Wow.
So these women took me in, they told me all of the things. They showed me my ultrasound and they showed me my baby's heartbeat. And from the moment I saw that, I knew that I was a mom. I knew
Wow.
that it changed. So, like I said, angels on earth, those women, what they do, they get so much trouble from the pro-choice community for being fake and you know, all types of things that these people say. You should really look into it if you guys are not familiar. Anyone watching are not familiar with crisis pregnancy centers. These women are angels for what they go through just to be able to meet you in between. Because I feel like in my situation, I didn't want to do that, right?
Right, right.
I was always so adamantly against that, right? But when you find yourself like at the bottom, like in the gutter, and you think there's nowhere else to go, you'll you'll explore your options. And if I were to have ended up in a place where someone were to be pushing me in the opposite direction, I'm
Mhm.
terrified of what might have happened, right?
Right,
I
right,
couldn't see my life now if that had gone any other way.
right.
I saw my son's heartbeat on
Oh,
the screen, and I knew I was a mom, and I knew that I had to change my life. I was not ready to do that, but I knew that I had to. Um, and it was just like it couldn't have happened any other way. I started going back to church. I turned my life back over to God. That was my
mm,
first step. And since then, I started going back to college, got a good job. I fell in love. I made the dean's list back in school. We got married. We had two more kids. You know, I mean, my life has been such a blessing, just perfect blessings every single day of my life since then, right? But everything isn't always perfect. We all,
mhm.
after we turn our life over to God, that doesn't
Right,
mean
exactly.
stop. So in 2018, my husband and I were, like I said, doing really well. We were, I had just had my youngest son. He was about 6 months old. And very unexpectedly, we lost my mom to complications due to heart disease.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, it destroyed me. And I knew that I either, you know, I knew that I had to go on, but it
Mhm.
was so hard. Those first few months, especially, I ended up on anti anxiety medicine just to, because I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything for my kids. Like, I was deeply depressed just because it was so sudden. She was in her early 60s and they were almost finished building her dream home. She was just retired. And I mean, beautiful home that they were almost finished building. So it really just tore us apart. It was terribly destructive for the family. And just 7 months later, we found out that my dad had lung cancer.
Wow.
So at this time, um, I had started looking into like more of a natural lifestyle. And so I tried CBD instead of the anxiety medicine. So I was able to get off of that. And we were able to start kind of shifting in that direction. Like as soon as we found out he had cancer, because already all of the things were just piling up. And I knew that there was a better way, right?
Yes.
So we found out that it was terminal. He went on hospice at the end of that year. And going into 2019, I knew that we were going to lose him. I knew that I was still just an empty shell of myself after losing my mom and everything else, not to mention 2018 was not a good year for my family. We lost so many things in that year. My husband lost his job. We moved. We changed schools. Um, His father was in a terrible car accident that left him unable to take care of himself, my husband's father. So it was just a really difficult year after only moving forward. And you kind of feel like it's easy to feel like, what's the purpose? You know,
Right. Mm-hmm.
When all of these things are just happening again beyond my control. So going into 2019, I knew all of this, and I knew that I could either let this destroy me. Again, I had a choice to make. You know, I could either just let it destroy me and go back to being that bad, negative person, or I could transform.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that I had to transform. I have a family and so many blessings still. I knew that if I trusted God, that eventually things would be okay. And so I did. We spent the entirety of the year healing, mind, body, and spirit. We spent so much time together. We spent so much quality time. We spent time learning about our health, about
Mm-hmm.
wealth, about our spiritual connection with God. We decided to start homeschooling our children. We made so many great choices that year. Got off all the medicines. We changed our diet to plant-based. We started learning about detoxification. And I was able to take my pain and turn it into a purpose. So, and that's why I've been able to find myself where I am now, so blessed. It's just, like I said, it couldn't have happened any other way. Of course, I miss my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I would try everything to have them back, but I would not have the life that I have now if I hadn't gone through all those things. So today my faith is stronger than ever. I'm absolutely blessed. I know that despite all of my losses and ups and downs and uncertainties, that none of that matters
Mm-hmm.
as long as I am present in the moment, not just for myself, but present in the moment for God, so that He can use me for His purpose. And since I've figured that out, nothing else matters. Everything else is going great now, like I said. But since I've learned that, just being present in the moment and letting Him use me however He sees fit, everything else is fine. None of them matter anyway, but He's blessed for following the purpose. So it's an amazing place to be. And I know that my life is a testimony for His grace and for His, just for our ability to trust God in general, no matter what life throws at you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I was talking to one of my other friends. I think she was day 2, and I shouldn't say it's kind of funny, but the way God has been saying certain things to me, or reading the Bible, and then I interview a girl, and it's pretty much everything she said. About a week ago, I think I was coming back from the gym, and I think it had to be like, what is it? SOS 90.5, which is a Christian radio station. And they were talking about the clinic that you went to. I had never heard of that clinic. I mean, you always hear the, Planned Parenthood, but for whatever reason, I think they were interviewing one of the people that worked there or whatever, and they said the exact same thing you were saying. They were saying, we bring the ladies in here to show them the baby, the ultrasound, and the heartbeat, to show them that this is a person. So when you were saying, you went to that clinic and you heard the heartbeat, I just got chills, because I was like, wait, I just heard that, I think, like I said, last week. And in this whole interviewing women, I just, like you said, fully surrendering, and He knows what He does. Because like I said, I'll read something in the Bible or watch a sermon, and you guys will say the exact same thing I just heard, and it's a constant confirmation. And right now, for this month, nothing really matters but just doing these interviews, which I really am enjoying. And like what you were saying, and Serene said she lost her mom too, and she said, had that event not happened, I would have not gone close to and have the relationship that I have with God. She's like, of course, like she said, what you said, it's unfortunate, but because of it, I am able, I think she said she fully surrendered, I think in 2017 or 18, to have God, you can just tell me what to do, but I what you have to go through, but things happen. And like I'm the same way with my testimony. What I've been through, would I go back? Is it hurtful? Yes, it is hurtful. But would I go back to change it? No, because that's what had to happen to me in order for me to grow and really give myself to God and be like, none of my stuff worked, so I'll give it to you because
Right.
I don't know what I was doing, obviously, and I heard him very clear. He's like, your way is not working, so how about you just try my way, and we'll go from there.
Right. And a lot of times, there's a lot of shame also that goes along with those things. So it's another reason why we don't talk about it very often. But it's so important, I think. I wanted to make that point to get over the shame
Yeah.
because washed our garments clean and we don't have those stains anymore. We don't have to be ashamed of those things. But we do have the responsibility to share a testimony with other people so that they will know better than we knew at the time.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. Not to be ashamed, right? Possibly when you were in the clinic or you were thinking you're like ashamed, but how many women can we impact now if they're thinking about that?
Right.
Look into this, and I am going to post the link when the video's over of that organization, so we can take a look at it because they're doing good, right? So definitely sharing our testimony because and I'm sure you feel the same way. And all these ladies, when I share my testimony, I don't feel ashamed. You don't have to say poor you because I don't, right? All that has been gone. When I got when I got baptized, I literally heard God say, no one can condemn you for your past, right? And that to me was beautiful to hear because, people are always going to start saying, well, you did this and you did this. It's like, we're not going to talk about this anymore because God forgave me. I'm a new person, new creation, and I'm gonna let you stay right there and continue talking to yourself because it's there's no purpose of no purpose of entertaining. And I like that you're really talking also about the health like plant based. I try plant based, but I'll have meat here and there. But I do like it too. I like that. And I like that you homeschool your kids. I just started doing that with my 6-year-old daughter. And we'll see how that goes. But I like that decision just to have that freedom to teach my child what I want them to teach because I've been an educator for 15 years. And what I see in the school, it's not usually what I agree with in some things, So I'm glad that you're doing those things. Let's see here. Let me ask you a few questions. So what advice would you give women that are going through the same thing you went through, whether it's getting pregnant or your parents passing? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I've gone through so many things, and even this story was just the TV guide version of
Right.
days. So
Right.
advice that I would give anyone, I know not everyone has the same foundation that I had, and I thank God for that. But even if you don't, I do believe that there is a instinct that you have inside you. I believe God walks with every single one of us, especially the ones that have not adamantly denied him, obviously. I mean, if you are just a lost soul, God is still with you. And as
Mhm.
you have a foundation of any type with him, then you have that still inside of you. So I think it's super important to trust your instincts and to know that the reason why people react the way they do to any situation is because of their own unique past experiences. And
Mhm.
so don't take offense to anything going on around you from anyone because 90% of people are more concerned with themselves than they are anyone else. That's true for pretty much all of us.
That's true.
So don't be offended by others' actions or others' decisions, and don't be afraid to make your decisions for yourself. It's important, like I said, to be present in that moment for yourself and for God so that he can use you. And you can't do that unless you really trust your instincts and trust that small voice inside and follow right from wrong. There are people who are always ready to say one is the other. It's very convoluted in the world we live in today, but I think that our basic instincts, we know right from wrong, and
Yeah.
I need to listen to those more often than we listen to the world and what they're saying we should do.
Right, exactly. Like especially like if God is telling you to do something, I usually say just do it, because when you start broadcasting it out, that's where you have people like, oh, that's not right. And who are you to God talk? And it's like, if God is telling me to do something, just do it in quiet, and and do what you have to do. Because like you said, you always have those people who try to sway you to not do it, right? And if God is putting something in your heart, is for you to do it, because we don't need opinions from other people, right? And I kind of remembers that, what do I have it, that Bible verse, but when Paul says, I'm not here to impress humans, I'm here to do God's work. So definitely. Question number 2: what are some important things to do as a Christian woman?
Cool. So just forewarning on that. As a Christian woman, I think it's important for us to, number one, pick a Christian mate. Pick someone who is equally yoked. If you are a Christian and you keep those things hidden from your mate, you get married and you have 2 kids, and then it comes out that you want to get closer to God while they're getting farther away, it's only going to cause problems in your life. I'm blessed to have a husband who loves God, and I think we've brought each other closer to God as well. So that's a huge step. And I think to serve your husband and your family, and to be a servant in general. In the Bible, all of the women were servants. They were not just servants of their husbands, but they were servants of the church. They were servants of their families. They were servants of the elderly communities. And I think it's so important for us to not get caught up in the I'm a queen, I'm a diva, I'm the bomb.com.
Oh no, I know. I'm not exactly, because we were raised in. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but we were raised in. I was raised in that generation where, like, I don't need a man, and you do what you want to do, and you pop your attitude. So yeah, definitely.
Just to be humble and to be servants, and to remember the golden rule, to treat others as you would treat yourself.
Right.
Super important, and it's something that a lot of women do. A lot of women do humbly, but a lot of women also get really upset. They might do it, but then they feel like they're being tread on for having to do those things. But I think we should do it humbly, and do it with gratitude, because God has blessed us with families and with people around us to serve. And we are present in that moment in front of someone who needs something. And if
Right.
we need something, then we would want someone to help us. So that same service to others is super important.
Right. And then just going back to the first one, I love the first one, because I think you and other women have said it. If you're single, I mean, now if you're married, then that's a different story. But if you're single, I definitely would suggest looking for someone, like you said, who is a believer. Because when you decide, I think I'm gonna change him, no man changes. Then if you decide to get married, you're just asking for trouble, right? God gives us that free will, and ultimately we pay for the consequences. So if you're single, don't do it. Look for yourself a believer. Hold on 1 second. No, don't worry about it. What's in the door? Let's see. I don't know who that is. All of a sudden somebody's ringing my doorbell. So that would be the advice, definitely. If you are single Christian, look for a believer. That way, like you were saying, you and your husband nurture each other, but also help each other get into that better relationship with God. Because if that's not the case, they might actually pull you away from God, and then we get into trouble. So I'm glad you said that. Okay, and then the last question. What are some of your favorite Bible verses?
I have one. It is my absolute favorite, and I knew when you asked me this question, I said I know exactly what it's going to be. It's 2 Timothy 1:7. I have it here so I don't say it wrong, because I do read the King James version. So For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. I love that verse so much, and it has carried me through 2020. I mean, the spirit of fear in the population. Oh, my son's knocking on the door. You probably hear him.
It's okay.
Spirit of fear in this year has just been insane.
Right.
And God says over 365 times in the Bible, do not fear, one for each day of the year plus some. And that's so important for us to know that He's given us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind to trust our instincts, like I said, to be present in the moment, to love other people. And that verse just absolutely speaks volumes for me. I live my life by it every single day.
I think Sarah said the same thing you're saying, which I didn't know, but that there's 365
Plus,
right, that says do not fear, right? And I was like, wow, how well written and purposeful, right? Because how many days are there in the year? So definitely, that's good. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. My kids over here, and you're, you know how that is.
Talking to you.
No worries. So thank you so much. Definitely follow Kendra on Facebook. Definitely, I was going to say Messenger if you want that. If not, definitely also go to YouTube and watch the whole replay of the video. And I will be posting that link on the video of that. It's called? It's not called clinic, is it? Is it a clinic?
A crisis pregnancy center is what they're.
Okay, so I'll definitely post that so we can see a little bit more about it. And tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'll be on a little bit later, 6:30 Pacific time. And again, definitely share these videos out because they're helping women, and that is the mission for the month of September, to share a testimony so other people can hear it. All right, so thank you again, Kendra, so much for sharing your testimony.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.